everybody knows that all the people don't have liberties, all the people don't have freedom, all the people don't have justice, and all the people don't have power, so that means none of us do.
Jello Biafra for the Independent Media Center in the camcorder, Truth Jihad.
The only thing that's going to stop this is a militant demonstration against the city of San Francisco.
Hey, hey!
The movement is intending to fill the streets and reclaim the streets and reclaim the spaces that have been absolutely hijacked.
I think there's a lot of people here for how freezing cold it is out here. I'm really excited. I did not think there was going to be this many people. I'm just totally pumped.
Unprecedented wave of protests. As many as 2 million people took to the streets on Monday in more than 100 cities and towns around the country to march for immigrants' rights.
If we can put that in a context of millions of dollars that we produce every single day, just think about it, the impact that we're going to cause on May 1st.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Aquí, allá, el pueblo vencerá.
More than 100,000 people converged in Lower Manhattan for a rally near City Hall. In Atlanta, as many as 80,000 people flooded the streets. In Phoenix, more than 100,000 rallied at the Arizona Capitol. 50,000 marched in Houston. 25,000 in Madison, 10,000 in Boston. 8,000 in Omaha, Nebraska. San Diego, Miami, Birmingham, Idaho, Utah, Iowa, Dallas drew 500,000 people, the largest protests in the city's history.
I'm here because to support everybody who's working here in the United States, not just Latin Americans, but the whole world, just Irish, Chinese, everybody. This is a giant, and we're not going to stay asleep.
I supervise the Athletes Recruiting Center, and we're working with some of the marketing classes on campus, and one of the things that they brought up is Department of Defense, especially the Army, never uses the movies to advertise or tell the Army story, and that's kind of what we're doing tonight. It just gives us another avenue to put information out and see if anybody's interested in getting more information. I've been in the Army for 14 years, I've never been fired at once. Doesn't mean you're ever going to come into harm's way. You're more at risk here statistically driving a vehicle than you are coming into the Army.
Yeah, former Marine. I was in an infantry battalion.
Okay, and you served in Iraq?
No, I served in Afghanistan.
Oh, Afghanistan, okay.
And I don't know, right now with the war in Iraq, I know 14 guys who died over there so far.
Oh, wow.
And I had a friend who just got back a couple weeks ago, and he said it's pretty much over there, there's no point in winning it, because there's no way to. It's just trying to get home so you're not the last one to die in a big mistake.
We want to see kids be able to learn at school, you know, not being taught that, you know, they need to be willing to go kill somebody to get a job.
Shut it down! No recruit! Shut it down! No recruiting in our town! Get out of here, cop!
Oh my God!
Stop! What the fuck? Get down! Stop it, you down! Stop it! Stop it! Get down! Stop! Stop it! Right down! That's not, that's fucked up! How'd you like it? Go underbelly, now!
gun ready. They jumped out ready, just whoever was first on the ground. I mean, the guy was on the ground already, or she was on the ground already.
So it's up to people here if they want to disperse or stay.
Why do you feel it's important to challenge recruiters for the U.S. military?
Well, because this is an illegal war, for one thing, and they prey on the economically disadvantaged in the poor areas, and I know that from hearing Iraq veterans being interviewed, or present ones who are AWOL or leaving because they don't agree with this illegal war. And they sign up because they're told they won't go to war, for one thing. The recruiters lie, for one thing, to make their quota.
And will this kind of police intimidation keep you from coming back to similar demonstrations like this?
No, it only inspires me to come more.
Let's go! She got bit! She's bleeding! This media! You can't arrest media! Let's go! Let's disperse! What is this? Keep on going, man. Disperse!
He said you have children in the military?
I had one in the military. I had actually two in the military. They're out now.
And yet you're still protesting at the recruitment station.
All the more reason.
Shut it down! No recruiters in our town! Shut it down! No recruiters in our town! Shut it down!
So you just told that recruiter that your friend is in Iraq?
Yes, my boyfriend is in Iraq.
Your boyfriend, I'm sorry. And I think the recruiter asked how he was doing in Iraq?
Yeah, and he's doing horrible though. And like, you know, his psyche's all messed up. He's not going to come back the same boy that he left. You know, he's not going to come back the same, guaranteed, but I'm going to stick with him because I have to support him because he's, you know, he is my friend over anything.
Do you fear for his life?
I definitely do. I cry every night. So, and I pray for him all the time. When she comes back, and everybody else, all of them come back.
How long is he going to be over there?
He's at least going to be there for 6 months. They blur the vision. They could be over there a year, even 2 years. He can go to 3 years. He's got 3 years left in the Marines, and they can take him anywhere. His soul is theirs. His body is theirs. So.
I'm from Muskogee, Oklahoma, and my son was in the Iraqi war. He's one of the lucky ones that came home. He was there for 6 months. He was a gunner, front gunner of a convoy, and he's home with post-traumatic stress. You know, he was forced to kill people just because they looked like they might be a threat. He didn't conform like the sergeants thought he should conform, and they threatened him. Treated him extremely bad, belittled him constantly, and when he came home they told him that on their next tour of duty he would not be returning.
Your son's sergeant literally told him that
he would not come back
because of his attitude.
Because of his attitude.
So this really lends a lot of credibility to the belief that if you're a soldier in the war and you don't get along and you don't play by the rules, that they will literally send you to die.
Right. You're right on the money. You're right on the money. And for all of the boys and girls that I see walking into the recruiter's office, they don't have a clue. They're walking into that recruiter's office thinking that they're going to make a difference. You know, they think that they want to do something noble for their country. Maybe it's because they have low self-esteem, or maybe it's because they're from a poor family and they don't have any money, so they're going in for educational purposes. I'm sorry, but the chances of those kids fulfilling their dreams is 0 to none. They're expendable.
Hey Chris, this is Sergeant Kell at the Army, man. I think we got disconnected. Okay, I know you're on your cell probably, and you just had bad connection or something like that. I know you didn't hang up on me. Anyway, by federal law, you got an appointment with me at 2 o'clock this afternoon at Greens Point Mall. Okay, that's the Greens Point Mall Army recruiting station at 2 o'clock. Failed to appear, and we'll have a warrant. Okay, so give me a call back.
You're more at risk here statistically driving a vehicle than you are coming in the Army, but
you mean like traffic accidents?
Sure, you are. You're more at risk.
A big part of this counter-recruitment movement is getting alternative information to recruits, or to potential high school students who could become recruits.
Yes.
What do you think about that element of the counter-recruitment movement?
I think that getting the info out and having just next to the Army recruitment, they should have the Peace Corps recruitment. They should have people coming and talk to them, realizing that this isn't the only way for you to go.
Show me what you guys were passing out.
It's an invitation to a Derechos Humanos-led community forum on the Strive Act. Basically, it's just like an educational forum that they're holding to let people know what the implications of this act are if it's passed. Basically, it's a guest worker program with a huge amount of militarization thrown into it. If it's passed, it will put 11,600 more Border Patrol on the ground in the border states. It will double the detention centers, or like the capacity for the detention centers, so we can have potentially 100% more detainees. Pretty much
it's
all
pretty
the
much a bunch of
militarization.
racist policies that some guy came up with, like Señor Gutierrez, I don't know what his last name is. He came up with all this, like, to financially support more, to give more money for Border Patrol agents, and like to create more, to give power authority to sheriffs to arrest undocumented people. It's a racist bill, you know. It's just directed to our people, and like we're facing many injustices. Like people are being killed in the border by Border Patrol agents. They're dying, you know. We have no rights anymore. We are not treated like humans anymore. They want to get cheap labor back. They just want to hire some people for temporary workers, like as temporary workers, and they just want to exploit them, use them, and send them back to Mexico, where they're being exploited too by the NAFTA and all the agreements that they have over there. We're organizing a march and a rally for May 1st in favor of the immigrant community. Labor is very important. If you give your labor, you should have rights back. You should have benefits back, and we don't. And people are just being exploited. They just work for somebody, and they can get fired. They're non-documented. They're hopeless in some way. So we're trying to make a just reform, an immigration reform that will work for everyone, and everyone that has sweat and has, worked so hard, they all deserve something.
Tell me about those signs and why you guys are against the Strive Act.
Well, it's really sad to say that we can't support this bill. We're going to continue to push this community for real justice. Nothing radical, totally reasonable. Respect for human rights, respect for workers, respect for our environment, respect for our indigenous people, respect for our border communities, respect for all of us that don't have to be faced with military, police type of activity all along. And so that's why right now we're against the Strive Act, because the Strive Act is more than anything a militarization of our borders, interior, that means our communities, and our work sites. All of those have to be militarized to the satisfaction of the Congress. If Congress is satisfied that we have spent enough millions to continue to fortify the border, the interior, and our work sites, then and only then will they begin the implementation of this very weak legalization program that we don't know who's going to wind up remaining here to be able to take advantage of the legalization program. And if they're lucky that they don't get caught up in a raid, at their home, on the street, being stopped, I mean, in any number of ways, if they're lucky enough to make it through and apply for legalization, then they have a 6-year permit. You're not an immigrant, it's a non-immigrant visa with conditions, and then you have to leave the country and make a legal re-entry. We cannot support a bill that has this level of militarization. What do we say to the people and the families of people who are dying along the border and are going to die at greater numbers because of militarization of the border? What are we going to tell our families that are here in our midst that have to somehow make it through until the Congress is satisfied? There is no deadline in the Strive Act. It's an indefinite period for the Department of Homeland Security to certify to the Congress, to their satisfaction, that it's been militarized. The border, the interior, and the work site. There's obviously some good things in the bill. The DREAM Act, the ag jobs, those are, no-brainers, that we respect those that deserve the most, those individuals that have been picking our crops for so many years. Do they deserve legalization? Absolutely, that should pass. Do our children deserve to continue to be in school when they're undocumented here in this country? Absolutely. Is that enough to accept all of these horrible measures against our community? I don't believe so.
Why do you think it's important that they came out today to speak that message against the Strive Act?
Because if Cesar Chavez stood for anything, and what his legacy is that we have to stand up for justice, and we have to do it now. Cesar Chavez did not want a holiday just so that we can hang out at a park. Cesar Chavez, like others before him, my father, their legacy is that we fight the injustice now. And right now we know that the people most demonized in our society are immigrants. And so the message is very loud and clear from the community that they want justice, and Strive Act does not provide for justice for our communities.
Mamá está en el campo, negrito, que tu mamá está en el campo, negrito, que tu mamá está en el campo. Duerme, duerme, negrito, que tu mamá está en el campo, negrito. Trabajando duramente, trabajando sí, trabajando iba de luto, trabajando sí. Que tu mamá está en el campo, negrito, que tu mamá está en el campo, negrito, que tu mamá.
You don't see any children in the streets with swollen bellies, with distended bellies, which is the classical sign of malnutrition that you see from around the world. And there was no childhood malnutrition, virtually none. There was no homelessness. 85% of the people own their homes, and the other 15% pay 5% or something like that, or 7% of their income. So there was no homelessness. There was a basic food allotment. There was the education that was people did not pay for. But there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough because of this economic situation. And here was the United States government trying to make it as bad as possible. Humanitarian aid can maybe at maximum provide 5%, 7% of what people need. So the point is not the humanitarian aid, the point is really that it's an act of civil disobedience against an unjust law. Cubans say, see, this is more proof of what we have always maintained, that the United States government has never really recognized that Cuba is an independent country. And we have to remember that this is not a recent policy. That 202 years ago, the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, said that Cuba is a ripe fruit waiting to fall into the lap of the United States.
I've just seen him jumping.
Look, the erosion under the wall, they've had to build up so people can't climb under.
The Raven probably got electrocuted up here. There's a transformer up there, and the stadium lights, and the Raven is right here at the bottom.
This is the fourth fiesta that we've done, and we do it with the government of Naco, Sonora. It's kind of unusual. It's a government and a small little organization of, citizens.
This was right in downtown.
1979. The government of Naco, Sonora challenged Cochise County to a volleyball game.
It was like county officials and city officials.
And that's where we got the idea.
Okay. Was that in this exact same spot?
No, it was right
downtown.
Right downtown.
And the border at that time consisted of a
This was it.
9-foot chain link fence. And that's all it was.
So that's the old history. We wanted to do something that established friendship across the borders with all the hate and all the horrible things that are going on between our government and the Minutemen, etc. We wanted to do something that would establish relationships and friendship. So we went to the mayor, Lorenzo, and we asked him what he thought. And first he said, well, no, we don't have a professional volleyball team. And we said, well, we don't have any volleyball team. It's just, something we'll do and everyone will participate in.
It's interesting. President Bush, he's not from my party. However, right now he does hold.
And so from there, we built a fiesta around the volleyball game, and it's just grown. And we did it for 3 years. The government in Naco has to change every 3 years. He can't run consecutively. So the mayor who took his place wasn't really up to it. But when he was reelected.
When the mayor of Naco, Lorenzo, took office, when would that have been? January, maybe? The first thing he did was contact Cecile and say, when are we going to do the party?
Cecile, he said, when do we do the fiesta? The people are asking. So even though we had said we would never do it again because it's so exhausting, we were hooked.
Well, we're inviting now other people from their side to come and dance.
So we all made food, and then we went around and got food from all the restaurants, right, and stores.
What's been the response of law enforcement and Border Patrol?
Well, the first year, they were really pretty nasty. And this year, they ignored us. I mean, they weren't, usually they're just sitting there. But this year, they ignored us, and that allowed us to cross back and forth. If they were really just sitting there, we couldn't have done that. Everyone's really happy. You know, there was a lot of really good music, a lot of really good dance, and we danced together. You know, feedback is really pretty terrific. So I think it was a success. What do you think?
I think it was great. Yeah.
Bien, bien.